All right, I think we're live here. All right, good morning and welcome to today's training. I thank you so much for joining on today. My name is Will Hankey. My business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros, and we are getting started right now. As soon as I welcome to today's training, I thank you so much for. As soon as I stop that on today, my name is Will Hankey. My business is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. What have I done? And we are getting started right now. As soon as I welcome to today. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. All right. Welcome to today's training. Today, we are talking about building a content and social media machine. Excited to have you on. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to get started. So today we're going to learn all about content, why creating content is so important for your business's health, the 4 pieces of the content creation formula, what we consider good content and where you can find some of that so that you can create it for yourself, how to write compelling headlines that lead to action from people that are reading your content or maybe not reading, digesting your content would probably be a better way to say that. How to leverage social media to get traction from the content that you're creating. And then a couple different social media tools that can help you kind of automate some of the pieces along the way. So I do want to make this interactive. So if you do have a question along the way, please just post that into the chat and I will be happy to answer that question. I'm watching the chat screen as well. So if I cover something you're not 100% sure about, please don't forget to just put that question into the chat and I will make sure to get that answered for you. Real quickly about our company, we are Window Treatment Marketing Pros. We're a veteran family-owned business. This is my daughter, Amber. She works as our lead web developer. My son, Ryan, actually works for us now too as account manager. We were rated one of the top rated SEO agencies in 2020. We were actually voted for that again in 2021. I've also got a book. If you do not have a copy of my book, I'll tell you how to get a copy of this. Triple Your Window Treatment and Awning Leads. And we've got a couple other awards along the way. We're actually a team of, I think, 19 now that is currently doing search engine optimization, paid ads, all of the different pieces for clients all across the country. So today we're going to talk about content and why it's important for you. That's the first big thing is why is content so important for your business? Well, the first thing is it builds credibility. Probably the best thing that content can do for you is to create credibility for your business. If somebody's visiting your website and you are answering a question or solving a problem that they have, they immediately trust you because of that content that you've created. So that's a really big one. There's also the credibility that you have then with the search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing. It builds that credibility because, again, you are answering questions that people are potentially typing in to learn more about or a problem that they are trying to solve. So content can definitely build your credibility. Another thing that it does is it builds your email list. There's a saying in our industry that's been around for a while that there's money in the list. So if you have a newsletter or if you have a list of past clients, email addresses, and you're not reaching out to them, there is definitely opportunity for you in that list. But content helps build that, right? So build really good content. People are more likely to raise their hand, to subscribe to your newsletter, or to just pick up the phone and set up an appointment, something like that as well. But definitely worth building content just to help build that list of people that are potentially not ready to engage with you. You know, there's 2 different kinds of people searching online, typically 2 different kinds of search intent. One is research, the other is purchase. So in some cases, people may come to your website because they're researching where to get draperies, but they're not planning on pulling the trigger for, 5 months or something like that. So having something in place that grabs their email address can really help you with that. build that list, and then you become top of mind when they are ready to go. Content also attracts attention, right? Like I said with Google, the more content you put out there, the more Google is going to pay attention to what you're doing. And in particular, if people are visiting your website and then engaging with that site, whether that's picking up the phone or filling out a form, something like that, to Google, that says, oh, when that person searched for this thing, this website solved that problem for them. So it attracts their attention, and they want to start to rank your website higher because of that. And they want to give you more attention, right? Versus some other, maybe even some more higher revenue companies in your area that maybe aren't doing any kind of ongoing content. This is a great way to kind of get the attention of the search engines and leapfrog over some bigger companies, quite honestly. And as I mentioned, content also ranks you higher. So Google does pay attention to not only the content on your site, but the actions of the people that visit the site when they interact with that content. And they, if you have things like Google Tag Manager set up and conversion tracking, then they know when somebody came to the site and they filled out a form or they picked up the phone or something like that. And, Google's end result is to deliver the correct results for somebody who's searching for something. So it makes sense that if they see somebody go to a site for a certain search query and that site solved that issue, that they would want to do that more often and they would want to start ranking you higher. Obviously, there's other things involved in this, such as keywords, the right kind of keywords in your content, those sorts of things. But content definitely can help your website start to rank higher if it's consistently put out on your site. Now, there is something called the freshness algorithm as part of what Google does. So they do give a little bit of a bonus to content that's fresher than other content. So, a lot of times the newer stuff that you publish will get a nice little boost in traffic. And then over time, it may kind of wane off depending on how well it's written, but definitely helps you rank higher overall. So let's talk about the content creation formula. And this is a formula that we put together probably, it has to be 13, 14 years ago at this point. And that formula is: on date, writer will publish a post using type about category. So I want to break these down and show you how we kind of fill this in to create the entire formula, if you will, so that you can do the same thing for yourself. So the first piece is to define your categories. And we're going to take this formula kind of backwards. So on date, writer will publish a post about or using type about category. So categories are, what is the, not really the topic of the post, but the category that it falls under. So does it fall under a certain product line, right? So categories could be products. You could be writing a blog that's specifically about solar shades or awnings or well covers, something like that. That would be one way to figure out a category, is the list of products or services that you have. So that's a pretty easy one. The other way to go about it is just look at your main navigation. When you built your website, a lot of times these top navigation items are the most important things, right? That you want your visitors to click on. So embroidery, custom home decor, gifts, that kind of stuff. This could be your top line categories as well. So don't spend a ton of time on figuring out what the categories are. It's just kind of an overview of, if I'm writing about this thing, which category does it kind of fall into, so that you can start to, as you use the formula, you can see, oh, we're writing way too many things about solar shades. We need to write some more stuff about Roman shades or something like that, right? So figuring out your categories, pretty easy piece of this formula. Again, if you do have any questions at any point, please just put those into the chat and I will be happy to answer those. We've had a bunch more people jump on. So All right. Number 2 is the content type, using type about category or about solar shades or something like that. So there are 4 types of content. The most common and the most obvious is a text, an article, a blog post, something like that, right? When you hear you should be creating content for your website, most people default to, I should be writing something for my website. And 100% true. It's definitely the most common. It is also the best, probably, content that you can spend time on, because Google can't see images. They can't really see what's happening in a video. They can get prompts from something like that. But text is text, and they get it. They understand what it is. They know what keywords are being used, all of those sort of things. So text is the most common and probably the best of all of these. So another type of content is images. You can create things like infographics, different images about the industry that makes sense. Again, Google has a hard time seeing what images are, so probably not the best for building content for Google rankings. Now, there are other advantages to creating images as content, for instance, them getting shared on social media, adding them to Pinterest and Instagram and some of those very visual type websites. And then, of course, your own website too. If you're posting this kind of content on your site, it's very likely that other people will share that link to your site, and you can gain some links back to your site and by building content like this. So not horrible, but other ways to go about it. I guess it would be an easy way to say that. So. Another type of content is video. Probably my favorite, to be honest, is video. But building video about your business, a day in the life, or one that's specifically about a product or a demo, or 5 tips for cleaning your shutters. There's tons of different things you could do. But video is a great way to create content for your business, for your YouTube channel, for your website. There's a lot of advantages to video as well. And the last is audio. So people also create podcasts, right? Audio versions of content. Probably of the 4, the least search engine friendly option is audio, and probably a close second is the images. But there is definitely an audience out there for podcasts and people that want to consume your content in that kind of way. So definitely not a waste of time. I mean, we do a podcast as well, and it gets lots of well, you can't say eyeballs. It gets lots of listens, I guess would be a good way to say it. Now, I did mention that out of these 4, probably my favorite is video, and the reason for video being my favorite is because with video, you can repurpose this in multiple ways. And this is an example from our YouTube channel of a video that I did that has some really cool things going on. First of all, I put it up on YouTube. You'll see down here, it says websites, but this is an area where the transcription is going through. As I'm talking, it's transcribed those words and it's showing on the screen as well. The other thing is, when I get that transcription, I can then turn that into a blog post. I could also pull the audio out of that, turn that into a podcast episode. So doing one video creates 3 forms of content for me. So that's why I like video so much. And this is kind of how we repurpose content. First, I shoot my content, not as good looking as this guy is, but you get the idea. Secondly, we put it through a service that transcribes that video and adds this top headline, adds the subtitles down here or the transcription below there. We then upload that to YouTube. We also create a podcast for that. And we also create a blog post out of it. So this one video has created as I said, 3 different forms of content, which is pretty awesome. So really like that. And by the way, if you're wondering what this tool is right here, it's called ClipScribe. And I can't remember the price. I want to say it's like $12 a month or something. I mean, it's extremely negligible overall. If you're shooting a couple videos a month, putting them up, and you can create all this content from this one thing. ClipScribe is great. It transcribes the video for you, and then it gives you these little prompts over here to the right. So if something's misspelled, like my last name, Hankey, a lot of times it spells that wrong. So you go in and you just fix these things, hit publish, and it outputs your video with these things added onto it. So pretty cool little tool that works. So that is the different types of content that you can create as part of our content creation formula. So number 3 is writer. Now, this is not going to be an exciting part for a lot of you, because the best way to find a writer is to look in the mirror, to look at yourself, right? You started the business, you're running this business, you're in it day to day, you know the ins and outs of window treatments or awnings, you know all these different things, and by far, you're the best one that could write content for your business. Now, in a lot of cases, we're juggling a ton of hats, and you don't have time to sit down and write a blog post every week or every month, right? You're doing a lot of other things. So if that's the case, then you need to find somebody to write content for you. When it comes to finding people, there are 2 potential ways that you could find, that you could trade for the content. One, obviously, is to pay them, right? Just pay somebody to create content for you. The other way is exposure, probably less used, but there are people that just want to get published on different websites so that they could use that to then start to charge in the future, perhaps, something like that. So 2 different ways you could potentially pay somebody for content creation for yourself. One way to find content is to look at complementary sites. So sites that are publishing content related to what you're doing. A great way to kind of start getting ideas of who's writing. So in this case, Caroline Picard and Lauren Smith, it's very likely that their social media links are somewhere in this article, and you can reach out to them, say, hey, could you write for me, or what would it look like, that kind of stuff. So using those complementary sites is a great way to find people that could write for you. Another way is just do a search. In this case, window treatment blogger. Just do a search and see who is identifying themselves as window treatment bloggers, and find their contact information, reach out to them that way as well. It's another easy way to do it. There's also a service called Follower Wonk, which is a little bit crazy. It does cost, but there's some really cool things you can do with this. Again, you type in industry and then the word blogger or something like that. And what it does is it finds those words in people's Twitter profiles, Facebook profiles, things like that. Excuse me. And then it shows you some information about how many people are following them, how many tweets they've done, all these kind of things. Gives you a really good kind of understanding from a content creator standpoint, how active they are, how many engagements they're getting with the content they create. So some really cool ways to find writers with that. Another way to find writers is just to build a page on your website called Write for Us, and put it out there and put a form on there and let people just submit a form. I'd love to write for you guys. And this is a great way to get new writers. The other thing that's really cool from a writer standpoint, writers are going on Google and searching for these kinds of pages across the web. So by you creating a page like that, it's possible that people could find that page, fill out a form, and you kind of reverse find people by them finding you in this case. But a Write for Us page is really cool and can work to your advantage as well. When it comes to what to pay for content, we always have recommended going to some of these websites where people are looking to hire bloggers for different content pieces. So jobs.problogger is a great one. What you can do is just go out here and look for people who are hiring bloggers to write content for awning related things or window treatment related things or drapery or interior design, that kind of stuff. And then just see what other ads are out there and how much they are willing to pay, what the specs are for each job. Is it 1,000-word article? Do they want it about a specific subject or a specific keyword, things like that? And obviously there's different levels of writing, but it should give you a pretty good idea of what other people are hiring writers at as far as a price. All right, so that's it for finding writers. Lots of different ways to do it. Like I said, the best way is for the business owner, you, to write the copy, but that's not always easy to accomplish with all the other things that we've got going on. All right, so now that we've got the 4 pieces of our formula together, we know how to find content, we know what to write about, we know how to find somebody to actually write it. The last piece is to build the foundation of your entire content plan or content campaign. Probably the easiest tool to use for this is Google Calendar. It's free, and you can just build a specific calendar only for your content, and then say, okay, every first of the month, we're going to publish a new blog post, or every Tuesday, we're going to publish something. And then this can kind of be mixed up to where the first Tuesday of the month, we're posting a new blog. The second Tuesday of the month, we're posting a video, right? Third Tuesday of the month, we're posting a new podcast. So you can switch it up so that it's always different content each time, and, about different topics, things like that. But keeping that all in some sort of a calendar is a great way to make this happen. And then, of course, choose what days make the most sense for you. The one thing I will say here is don't bite off more than you can chew. And what I mean is, don't think, oh, I'm really inspired by your webinar today, Will. I'm going to start blogging every week, right? And you do that for a month or two, and then you kind of start to wane off of it. And then, before you know it, you're struggling to post one piece a month, right? So to Google, what happens in their algorithm is they start to see all this great content, right? And they start to see it at a good pace. They start to learn when your content is going to be published. I've had clients where over the years of publishing content consistently, Google could index that content. We saw one time within 18 minutes of us hitting the publish button, that content was indexed and in Google's system. So because they knew that Tuesday at 5 a.m. we were going to publish something, right? So you want to teach them a consistent schedule. So if you think you can do one every week, I'd probably say let's shoot for one every 2 weeks and then ramp it up as you're comfortable doing that, versus shooting for 4 and then doing 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. It kind of falls off. Better way would be just to start it and then ramp up as you see that you have the bandwidth to do so. All right. So let's talk a little bit about topic ideas, ways that you can, things that you can write about. What are some things that I should even create? What content should I even create? Here's some ideas. Lots of them, actually. Podcast, as mentioned, case study, guides, book reviews of maybe recent books on topics in your industry, predictions. These are always obviously really good in December, January, what's going to happen over the next year. Personal story, of course, makes the easiest sense. Product reviews, product demos, things like that. Lots of different ways to create, to come up with content ideas. Now, another thing you can do is obviously just listen to your customers. This is always an easy one. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're asking about. If you start to see emails that are always about the same thing, or phone calls that they keep asking the same kind of questions, that's a prompt for you to create content, because for every one person that you talk to on the phone that's asking this question, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people thinking the same thing and going to Google and looking for that. So it's an opportunity again for you to create content that answers questions and solves an issue. And with your branding on the site, you look like the subject matter expert in that case. So definitely want to listen to your customers and just see what kind of things they're asking for over and over. Another thing you can do, obviously, is listen on social media. Twitter, Facebook, they all have search options. So when you're thinking about a topic, just go to these social media platforms, type in that topic and see what people are saying when they mention those words. What are they asking? What kind of struggles are they having? What wins do they have? All these different things will help you create even better topics and copy as you go on. My favorite tool, and this one has been around a long time, is Google Alerts. Google.com/alerts is how you get there. But some really cool things that you can do with this tool, and you just put in a specific search term. In this case, maybe I'll put in window treatments, Pittsburgh, right? And every time those words show up somewhere on the web and Google indexes, they will email you and say, hey, we found a new web page that mentions the words you were wanting to track. And then you can set it up to how often you want them to email you, once a week, once a day, or as it happens. So as they stumble across that content, they will email you immediately. Or you can just get, more like a digest of it. But this is a great tool, and I use it to this day to find out what other people are doing online. Another little trick here is you can actually put in search terms, you can put in site : so SITE : and then one of your competitors' domains. So site : abcwindows.com. You could put that into the search term and then create that alert. And what it will do is every time that competitor puts up a new piece of content, it will alert you and tell you what that content is. So this website has changed. Here's how it changed. These 3 pages were added. So that's a really cool little tip there. Site : and then the domain. And you can actually see this down here, bird flu, site : yfiles.org, whatever it is. So in this case, they're looking at this particular website and only when they mention these words. But if you just use the site : it'll tell you every time that competitor's website changes, it'll give you an update. So cool little tip there. Another way to create content is to look at some of your old stuff and update it. Google will reward you for older content that has since then been updated to include additional things. So you want to be careful with this. You don't want to just take an old blog post and totally rewrite it, because Google will just treat it as a new piece of content that never existed before. What you want to do is take the content that's already there and add to it. You can still edit it, as it goes through, but leave most of the foundation there and just add to it and make it bigger and better, and then publish it with a new date. And Google will reward you for that content. You will see a spike from some of that older stuff. So in some cases for our clients, it's not always about writing new topics and coming up with new ideas. It's looking at some of their content that used to get a lot of search, and maybe over the time, a couple of years, it's really start to wane off, and look at that content and see if there's ways that we can update it to get more traffic again, to get more eyeballs, to get more keywords, to get more rankings, those kinds of things. So not always about the stuff about creating new stuff. There are ways to use other stuff. I've also got a blog post out here of 5 ways to repurpose content. So take content, again, that you've already used and kind of repurpose that older stuff in different ways. Another tool is Yahoo Answers. This was another one that's been around for a long time, but you can go here and just put in different keywords and see what people are asking about that particular phrase. Why does this happen? Or how do I do this? And another great way to kind of find content. I think the URL for this is answers.yahoo.com if you want to get there. And tons of people talking about different things that are ways that you could potentially find additional content, additional topic ideas for your business. All right, let's see, make sure you don't have any questions. All right. Number 6, write awesome headlines. Headlines are a huge part of making sure that when somebody does see some content from you, that they're paying attention to it and that you keep their attention, right? So that they don't just hit the back button. Now, when we talk about a headline really is kind of a promise of what you're going to deliver in the article. So you do kind of want to be mindful of keywords, but at the same time, you have to think in mind, I need the person to read this line and get to the next line, right? So a headline in some sort of way is a promise of what you're going to deliver down the line from that as well. When it comes to headlines, there's three types of headlines. There's social proof or piggyback, and we'll talk a little bit more about these. There's a threat headline and there's a gain headline. So when it comes to social proof or piggybacking off something else, these are some great topic ideas or ways that you could potentially use for your business as well. So why I use olive oil and you should too, right? It's kind of saying, you should pay attention to this, in some sort of way. What Dr. Oz eats for a midnight snack. So using some sort of socially understood person and saying, oh, well, if they're doing it, maybe I should pay a little bit more attention and do this myself. The new widget that everybody is using. Oh, well, if everybody's using it, I should probably know what it is too, right? So those are social proof, using what other people are doing to piggyback on that and get somebody, use that as a headline. When it comes to threat headlines, these are a little bit more from kind of an alert, right? You're like, wait, what? When you see something like this. Sorry, I lied to you. I used this probably 3 years ago now as a newsletter subject line for a newsletter that I sent out. And the open rate for this was just through the roof. It was more than any other one I had ever sent out because of our reputation and something like this. Sorry, I lied to you. Okay, what is Will talking about? How did Will lie to me? So that one worked very well. Obviously, I had to come back with some sort of reason around, telling people to use this tool, or I told them it was this price and it was this price. There's a lot of ways to kind of use that to your advantage, but a great headline. It worked very well. Threat to your children's health, right? Is your child's mattress harmful to their health? That's going to get a parent's attention pretty quickly, right? 7 incredible views you won't believe are real. Oh yeah. This one gets a little clickbaity, right? You got to be really careful about that too. You don't want to start getting into something like that where the promise does not deliver in the actual content, of course. And gain headlines are the opposite, quite honestly. How I get my toddler to eat a spinach every time, how I get my blinds to fasten to the wall every time. I don't know. All these different things that you could come up with. Create a gorgeous holiday feast or create a gorgeous living room window treatment ensemble, on $300. You're probably not going to want to do it on 30, right? Nobody's going to call you on $30, but you get the idea, right? Gain headlines are how you can do something easily or gain from it in some sort of way. Gain headlines are always good in the September, October timeframe when you can start to talk about making your house look really nice for the holidays, for the relatives, those kind of things. Gain headlines work really well that time for sure. All right, so let's talk a little bit about social media. I wanted to make sure that I brought this in here. I do want to put a disclaimer about social media overall. We are, we're, how do I phrase this? We are not fans of social media for lead generation. It's possible to generate leads with social media, but unlikely. And when it comes to us helping business owners get more out of what they're doing in their marketing efforts, social media is not one of the things that we recommend you start to do immediately. Now, to further that disclaimer, I should say there is a difference between what we call organic social media, which is you posting on Facebook, here's our new product, that kind of stuff. That's really more for awareness, relationship building, trust factors, things like that. The other side of social media is the paid side. Now, when it comes to running ads on Facebook and boosting posts and running ads to get leads, that's a different kind of social media. It's a different focus to get that. But when you put both of those together, there are some advantages to gaining new customers. So I just wanted to make sure that I talked a little bit more about that. Kim said, what is the reasoning behind it being unlikely to generate leads from social media? So what I mean is people are not on Facebook looking for new window treatments. They're looking at babies and cats, right? In that sense, it's an interruption method, right? You have to interrupt what they're doing on that platform and what they're enjoying to get them to suddenly switch to purchase mode, or, I need to fill out this form, or I need to click on this link and go to this page. So they're not in that frame of mind. Now, the paid side of this is really where the advantage comes in. If somebody visited your website and then the next day they see your ad on Facebook, they're more likely to engage with that, right? Because they're already familiar with your brand. And the same could be true if they are a fan of your business on your Facebook page and they watch some of your posts. And then suddenly there's an ad there that says, 10% off all wood blinds this month or something like that. They're more likely to pay attention to that versus just the pure organic. People are not likely to engage because they're not in that frame of mind on social media networks to be in a purchase kind of mode, if that makes sense. So hopefully that answers your question. Nonetheless, we do think social media is important. It is huge for brand awareness and for overall understanding, for getting your exposure out there. So it's not a futile effort. It's just not one that should be used specifically to gain leads, right? There are a lot of other ways you can get leads for your business before considering Facebook as one of the main ways, in my opinion. There are a lot of different tools out there that can help you schedule posts. So we talked about in the formula, once you have it all, then you have a schedule and okay, we want to post this every Tuesday at such and such time. So if you can build this content ahead of time and then schedule it out using a tool like this, like any of these, that's a great way to kind of just have it, done for the month or for the year, depending on how much content you're able to create in a short amount of time. There are a lot of these different tools. Facebook also launched their business suite, which helps with a lot of this stuff where you can manage your entire business from the back end of this. They've gone through several different iterations of this, but you can manage your posts, you can manage your ads, everything from this at business.facebook.com. And then they've also come out now with the Creator Studio, which is pretty cool. You can manage different pieces of content across Facebook and Instagram and upload videos. You can go live on a different platform or a different channel, things like that. The Creator Studio is pretty cool. Gives you some great insights on how people are engaging with the content that you are creating. And over time, you can see, okay, well, I created this about solar shades and it didn't do very well, but the one that we did about retractable awnings got a lot of traction. So we should probably want to, create more of those kind of things. So looking at those insights can really help you out as well. This is our tool that all of our clients get access to. It's called Lead Boomerang. And we have just released the social media planner as part of this. So for the clients that we have already, those of you that are our clients on the call, there is a social media planner tool inside Lead Boomerang now where you can actually plan out all of your content on different platforms and post it straight from the system. So that is a really cool tool that we've built in. A lot of our clients are already using Lead Boomerang for all of their other things, for their chat widgets and their email marketing and their call tracking and lead generation, all that stuff. So adding this in as another option is a no-brainer for us. So, all right, so let's review what we talked about. And if you do have any questions, go ahead and put those into the chat. I want to make sure I get all of the questions answered for you today. So number one, define your categories. That was the easy one. Looking at, what products do you have? What things do you need to write about? What are your top navigation items? Those kind of things. Number two is pick your content type. Remember, there's four. There's text, there's image, there's video, and there's audio. The trick is if you do video, you can pull that out and use it in multiple ways, which is my favorite little kind of hack with all that. Find writers, lots of different ways to find writers on other websites. Obviously, the best writer for your business is yourself because you know your industry the best. Then build that foundation, start to look at how often are we going to publish content? What kind of content is that? And kind of build that out. Then come up with topic ideas, lots of different ways to find those. See what other people are talking about is probably the easiest one. Listen to your clients, listen to your customers. What kind of things are they talking about all the time? Number six, write awesome headlines. So come up with great headlines that promise or pull people in, intrigue them in some way. And then number seven, share on social. So one thing you want to make sure that you do is after you create all this content, make sure that you do blast it out to these different platforms to get more brand exposure and more eyeballs on your brand overall. Obviously, the one thing I did not mention in here is also remember Google's going to pick up this content. Yahoo, Bing, all of them are going to pick up this content. And there's an SEO, huge SEO advantage to creating this content so that the search engines find it, you rank higher for different phrases and potentially get more leads because of it. So that is the end game after all, is getting those leads. So, all right, now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do now? So obviously, there's a couple of things you can do. You can do nothing. You can try to do it on your own, or you can hire somebody to do it. We kind of talked about this one, finding a writer in the first place. If this is something that you think that you would like us to do, and you're looking at how can I create a consistent campaign that starts to really bring people to my website all the time, I invite you to visit our website, wtmarketingpros.com. There's all kinds of things out there. There's a chat widget if you want to chat with us. The other thing you can do, obviously, is just reach out to us. As I mentioned, the chat widget. Feel free to email me, will@wtmarketingpros.com. Every client that we have gets a brand new website that is search engine friendly. They get access to all the reporting. They get access to Lead Boomerang, which is probably one of the coolest tools out there for the window treatment and awning industry right now. And then access to training, of course, as well. We have clients all across the US. And if you are interested in learning more about what we do and just talking about what your goals are for the year and what you're hoping to achieve, the easiest way to get on my calendar is wtmarketingpros.com/strategy. Now, if you're watching this live and not on a replay, you'll know that the WF Vision Expo is only 2 weeks away at this point. And I have 4 sessions down there. I will be presenting down there. So we could always, if you're going to be at that event, come by our booth and we'd be happy to chat with you there as well. If you want to get on my calendar before or after that, wtmarketingpros.com/strategy. The other thing I did want to mention before I get to any last questions is if you do want a copy of my book and you don't have one, I'll send you one, absolutely no charge. wtmarketingpros.com/book. It's that easy. Go there and sign up for the, give me your address. I'll get one in the mail to you right away. No problem with that at all. All right. Are there any last questions around anything that I covered? If there are, please put those into the chat. I want to make sure everybody's clear and got some value out of today, of course. So let's see, put your questions in there and we'll answer them. If you don't have any questions, then I do thank you for your time today and hope you have a fantastic day. Hopefully, again, you got some great value out of this and inspired you in some way to move forward with some sort of a content campaign that produces results, generates leads for your business, obviously. So, all right, I don't see any last questions, so I'm going to sign off. And I do appreciate everybody for jumping on today. Hope you have a great day. Thanks, everyone. See ya.